Hello and welcome to Tuesday night's ITSR Twisted Cup Series live here at Sonoma Raceway, also known as Infineon, in the race of what some could say a lifetime. It is the Put a Cork In It 30, and I'm Michael Keaton with Evan Pasoko with me tonight, and of course always Michael Woolley pushing the buttons in the MW studios here live on the MW Productions. Evan, it's Sonoma Raceway.
And it's a 30-lap affair. The track is 1.99 miles long. So pretty much sum it up to 2 miles a lap, pretty much 60 miles when it's all said and done here tonight. But again, pretty much you're not really going to see any full course cautions. I don't anticipate to see any. So this thing is most likely going to go green flag to flag, and the drivers were very spread out in the practice sessions. 14 drivers put down a time in practice, and they were separated from first to 14th rather by a margin of 15 seconds. So they're currently working and finishing up during the second half now of a 20-minute open qualifying session to try to get their track position and get this thing kicked off, but definitely nothing like we've seen yet this season.
And of course, going back last Tuesday night at Michigan, John Higman Jr. would be your race winner. Rich Jett would finish second. Bobby Terrell, after starting on the outside pole, would finish third. Brian Harvey would claim a top 5, and Scott Simley would finish in 5th spot.
Jose Gonzalez was able to come home in the number 6 spots after starting on pole position, led 26 laps, but comes home in 6th. Another driver that was up front, the 24 of Stefan Marinak, leading 26 laps, rather leading 33 laps, is going to come home in position number 7. Just behind them, LD Sarabia coming home in 8th, Stephen Herring finishing 9th, and Scott Brotherton, the first car 1 lap down, rounds out the field in P10.
And of course, with Scott Simley finishing ahead of Gonzalez last week at Michigan, it really got him a little bit closer in the point standings, as Jose still leading the points, but only by 9 points over Scott Simley, who sits second, still looking for his first win of the season. Scott Simley. Stefan Marinak is third in points, 12 back. LD Sarabia just sits 16 points back from Jose Gonzalez, and Bobby Terrell, who's 5th in point standings, is 18 back.
And you look at some of those stats. I mean, 6th place, John Wilco, he's 19 back, tied with Rich Jett. So Rich Jett being shown 7th is also 19 back. 26 back is Matt Lacrosse, and 8th, Brian Harvey and CJ LeVere, both those drivers 30 points back, 9th and 10th in the standings respectively. You got to look at the top 5s and the win categories. Again, Jose Gonzalez, you mentioned, 9 points up at the front of the field in the championship standings, sitting on 2 wins, 2 top 5s. Scott Simley in second, no wins, but he has a top 5 at all 3 races in this second segment so far. Looking to make it 4 for 4 here this evening. And again, John Higman Jr. pulling out a win last week, is 22nd in points. So nobody else inside the top 10 with a win except our points leader, Jose Gonzalez, who also has 2 poles this season, currently sitting in the number 4 spot as qualifying continues.
And of course, this is season number 2 in the ITSR Twisted Cup Series here. And tonight, we get underway with race number 4. The Put a Cork In It 30 at Infineon Cup, Sonoma Speedway. When we return after the break, we'll give you the rundown and who qualifies where.
New shoes, yeah, I don't know where I'm going to. Silk suit, black tie, and I don't need a reason why. They come around just as fast as they can, but every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. Gold watch, diamond ring, well, I ain't missing on a single thing. Cornflakes, Stick pin, ask if I don't know to do you in. They come running just as fast as they can.
Hey, look here, beavers. You better hide your wives, hide your husband, and look here, both of you hide your kids, because we're coming.
Every girl's crazy about a shop-dressed man. Top hat, and I don't worry 'cause my wallet's fat. Black shades, black gloves, looking sharp, looking for love. They come running just as fast as they can. Every girl's crazy about a sharp dress man. Make some noise! Clean shirt, blue shoes, and I don't know where I'm going to. Silk suit, black tie, and I don't need a reason why. They come running just as fast as they can. Every girl's crazy about it.
Talk Live, where qualifying is in the books. And the man who's going to be quickest is Justin M. Wilson in that 58 car. Quickest in practice, quickest in qualifying. And Justin Wilson will take that #1 position. So far, as I've just been informed, that we've still got about 40 seconds left and some time still being put on the board. I kind of rushed things there a little bit, but he's quick, buddy. I'm telling you, there ain't nobody else near him, Evan, right now, at 2 seconds ahead of the second place guy.
Yeah, there's a pretty big separation between first and second right now. Justin Wilson has it by about 2 seconds. Nathan Little is in second right now as it sits right now, and he is 1 second slower than his fastest time in the practice session. But Justin Wilson, fastest in practice, and as you mentioned, currently fastest as we go into the closing seconds. So if anybody's got something for him, they got to finish off their laps right here. But I think it's pretty safe to call it that 58 is going to be on pole position.
And that will do it. Qualifying just wrapped up. So the 58 car, Justin Wilson, will hold on to the pole with a lap time of 1 minute, 14 seconds, and 989 tenths of a second. Will put him on the pole. In practice, he had a 1:14.633. So a little bit slower in qualifying, but nonetheless, great lap time for him. Nathan Little will start on the outside tonight in that 41 machine.
Going to take a look back at the drivers. Going to be starting on row number 2 inside that lane. The third starting position going to belong to Rich Jett in the number 36 machine. And one more position up the standings and one more number up. The 37 of Ben Burnett's going to be starting fourth.
And fifth quickest tonight at Sonoma Raceway, the number 26 car of Jose Gonzalez, and to his outside, the 24 machine of Jason Williams.
Hippie Douglas Wyatt in the number 5 machine, going to be starting on the inside of row number 4 in position number 7. Alongside him, the 66 of Brian Harvey is going to be rolling off in 8th.
Ninth quickest tonight, CJ LeVere in his 4 machine. Touts his outside, the number 11 machine, the Sarabia.
Just behind these guys and just outside of the top 10, 11th starting position, the number 47, Luis Rodriguez, is going to be taking that spot. Alongside him, the 77 of J. Randall Watkins in 12th.
13th tonight will be the 62 machine of John Wilco, and of course the 68 car of Scott Simley, who did so well last week.
Final car on the grid, wrapping up this 15-car field. He was 11th fastest in the practice session. Did not put up a climb in qualifying and sitting shotgun on the field. Is the 98 of Stephen Herring in 15th, and he rounds out your field.
And of course, folks, if you missed it, this is the 4th race of Season 2 in the ITSR Twisted Cup Series. First, they went to Dover, then Pocono, and then Michigan was last week. And of course, tonight, they put A Cork In It 30 Infineon Cup, set for 30 laps here. And next week, they'll go to Kentucky, where the grass is always greener. That race is July 1st, but tonight, it's Sonoma Raceway. It's Infineon. It's Think Outside the Oval.
And again, the likelihood of a caution is very low. Don't expect to see any full course cautions here. 30 laps, these guys running, an average lap time, but nobody has a lap time over a minute and a half. So in theory, this race will go by very quickly. Now, if you're out there on the racetrack, it won't feel like that because you really got to pedal these cars around. You got to make sure you survive these turns because it's real hard to get the horsepower done. Again, these cars, they're designed for ovals. When you make an oval setup, you can cheat. You can confuse the car, and it's only going to go one direction. Here at Sonoma, you're going to be going right and left, obviously, at this road course. So it's challenging. It's slick out there. It can also be very competitive. We're going to have to find out, though, if anybody has anything for our pole sitter, the 58 of Justin Wilson, because what from we've seen in the last hour and a half since this server opened up is that 58's looking pretty stout up front.
Of course, competition, if you're a manufacturer competitor and like to follow the manufacturers in today's race, well, we've got 9 Chevys, 3 Toyotas, and 3 Fords. So a little bit of a mix there when it comes to Chevy and Toyota versus the Chevys, but nonetheless, 3 different car models in the field tonight for Sonoma Raceway. It's anyone's race, and there's 30 laps to do it in, and like Evan had mentioned, Cautions tonight will be somewhat non-existent as the pace car dips down into pit road, the left-hand turn down into pit road here tonight. And of course, here we go. Green flag, a long green flag setup tone here for the 58 car, but he will take us back to it. And there's the flagman with the famous green silk in the air. We're underway at Sonoma Raceway.
37 of Ben Burnett has to let the 36 of Rich Jet go as they go up the hill into these opening corners, because going side by side through there, a recipe for disaster, as the race officials talk to the drivers before the drivers meeting, and they're already all single filed out as everybody trying to be patient in these opening laps, give and take, as Justin Wilson tries to open it up on Nathan Little.
Let's look back here a little bit deeper in the pack, where we've got a real tight race. The 24 car, Jason Williams, got through that corner really good this past one, but Douglas Wyatt was all over the back door of him. And Evan, this is where drivers can try to utilize their talents here, going left and right. You're talking about hard to do. Road course driving, buddy. I've never announced a road course, or I maybe one back in the day, like 10 years ago, but man, this feels like a new type of racing right here.
And there's only select spots on this racetrack that you really consider passing zones. This is one of them, down into turn 11, big 180 hairpin before you go off at a 12 and by the start-finish line. Justin Wilson, you saw Nathan Little threw it in a little bit harder, closed the gap, and then the 58 got a better run off, and Justin Wilson will lead lap number 1, and we're going to get the intervals, and the time is going to be a second lead between first and second position. So you really got to work on setting a guy up. You mentioned Douglas Wyatt had a chance. He got to the bumper of Jason Williams. That was in one of our passing zones.
Our first wreck. It looks like Brian Harvey's going to come through the front stretch right here to complete lap 1, Evan, in 8th spot, and he's just going to lose it and turn it, and CJ LeVere in the 4 car is just going to plow right into him, and that's really going to hurt CJ LeVere's car big time, and Brian Harvey's already in the pit road area.
Yeah, that's caution. Turn 1. He just went left into it. The back end stepped out. He got into the retaining wall, and CJ LeVere, an innocent bystander, goes in there, gets clipped, slides up, and backs it into the tire barrier, and the 4 car has sustained some pretty severe damage, and he's going to be well off pace, to say the least. And Brian Harvey has already taken his car behind the wall. The 66's night is done so early, just as he was taking lap 2.
Oh no, LD Sarabia, Evan, looks like, gosh, I don't know what turn it is, but he killed the wall. It's just like he couldn't get the brakes on it. The rotors were red hot, and he just plowed the tires there. Yeah, it's over for him.
Looks like going up through turn 2 on lap number 2, and that car just didn't get the hookup. He couldn't get down there and just slid right off into the sand, head on into the tire barrier. He no longer has a hood on his 11 machine. The front end is torn up, and that's how quickly your race can go away here at this racetrack. Again, this isn't really a race where you're battling your other competitors. You're not really going to see a lot of side-by-side door banging, because these guys, their primary focus is surviving the track and battling the track, as opposed to the tracks where you go to where it's really driver on driver. This is a survival of the fittest.
It really is. Hey, one cool thing though is we've got a nice, well, you can say nice battle here for 3rd spot where Rich Jet's at. Right behind him, Ben Burnett. And then, of course, just a couple of cars links back is Jose Gonzalez. Somewhere between about maybe 10 to 12, 15 car links back. But, hey, on a road course, that is pretty close. But the 3, LD Sarabia hearing reports he's off the track again.
He just lost it the same area that he did the first time, coming up that hill, heading into turn 2. Just went off into the sand. Didn't get the wall this time. Is able to recover, but is in the 13th position. CJ LeVere is down pit road also to the service of his crew, trying to get damage repairs, as well as he sits in 14th.
A really tough night for a couple of drivers already. Keeping an eye out on this battle for 2nd spot, Nathan Little and Rich Jet. They're about 3 to 4 car lengths apart as they're winding through the corners here at Sonoma Raceway at about nearly 120 miles an hour, going in this little short shooter here, where they swing up real high, nearly get into the wall there, but safer than usual, I guess you could say, as the HaasCNC.com Chevy of Nathan Little holds on to 2nd for now as they're winding through the S-turns here.
And they head down through the S's, and again, Nathan Little holding a little bit of a gap over Rich Jett. Rich Jett in third, and these are pretty much the closest battles. Justin Wilson is trying to set sail. He heads through turn 10 and down into that last turn, turn 11, the big 180-degree horse pin, where it's one of our biggest passing zones. And again, you go through those S's, you really got to hit your marks and keep a momentum up, or you can lose your spot there. You see Rich Jett trying to close in on them. He throws it in there a little bit harder than Nathan Little, but Nathan Little, since he took it easier, was able to get that run off corner exit and leaves Rich Jett in the dust.
Let's see if we can't give you a right-on perspective of Rich Jett and what he has to do in these corners to try to keep up with that second spot of Nathan Little as we go on board with Rich Jett here. You can see him working the corners real good right through here, Evan.
He gets up on that curbing, goes all the way to the other side of the racetrack, and then down into one of the high speed, and that's one of our passing zones right there, down into turn 4. You see he uses that curbing, nearly gets into that tire barrier, and these two corners, this one right here also, they're going to go into this right-hander. Those are two of the biggest passing zone on this racetrack. You saw he was able to close in on Nathan Little, but he is driving it into the corners harder, which in turn you see gives Nathan Little the advantage on corner exit.
Yeah, you can tell that he can, some corners he's able to drive it off in there a little bit better, and some corners off the corner he's a little slower than Nathan Little. That's just what makes road course racing fun. You may not be as quick in every corner as the man in front of you or behind you, but it does make for some exciting races as he nearly closes in the back door there as they still separate, going off through one of the stretches here to complete lap 4, or now lap 5 at Sonoma Raceway. So 25 laps to go, and we will have our first road course winner in the ITSR Twisted Cup Series history of racing.
Yeah, Justin Wilson is doing exactly what he needs to do, and he's been very consistent, running 1:16.0s the last handful of laps. Those guys behind him, Nathan Little, Rich Jett, the last time by, were actually able to put down 1:16.5s, but all the laps previous to that, they were running about a second off pace with race leader Justin Wilson. Wilson's gap now has been extended to 3.2 seconds the last time by the start-finish line, the gap between first and second. However, Justin Wilson closing up on some lap traffic that he's going to have to negotiate. The first car that he'll run into is the 11 of LD Sarabia in 12th, the last car on the lead lap. And then just in front of him, John Wilco, who sits in the 11th position in the 62 machine, has some front-end damage, trying to find the cause of that. And we'll get that information to you. And it looks like lap number 4, John Wilco going up out of turn 2, loses it and goes head-on into a tire barrier, and that's what caused the damage to that machine.
Yeah, that'll nearly do it every time as he collects the tire wall there. You know, sometimes I guess they try to get a little too close or use every bit of the track they can to get that nice run off the corner. And sometimes, you know, it doesn't pay off. Hey, one driver still sitting on pit road is CJ Laveras. He's now 3 laps down. 12 drivers on the lead lap. Currently, LD Sarabia being one of the ones real close and dire of going down another lap or a lap here.
Another driver that had some issues is the 47 of Luis Rodriguez on lap 2. You guys know that turn 12 there, that last little left-hander before you get into that front stretch, a very tight part of the racetrack where the checkered flag is, made that turn too tight, caught the inside wall, got damage repair. He had to go down pit road. That's why he sits 2 laps down in the number 47 machine in position number 13.
Looking at Rich Jett in 3rd spot, working his way through traffic. He got by the 62 of John Wilco just fine, and LD Sarabia and now has given up that spot. Now Rich Jett will reset his eyes for the 2nd place man out in front of him, Nathan Little, as Justin Wilson comes around to complete lap 7 at Sonoma Raceway. We're going to take our first commercial break at MW Productions live on Tuesday night. ITSR Twitter. And welcome back, folks. Well, we are still obviously green flag racing here at the ITSR Twisted Cup Series, where the man out front has led all 9 laps so far. Justin Wilson, 7.5 seconds up on Nathan Little. The closest battle that we had earlier was between Rich Jett and Nathan Little. Now we've got a good battle with Scott Simley and Douglas Wyatt back here in 7th and 8th. No, 6th and 7th, I'm sorry.
Douglas Wyatt trails behind Scott Simley when the scoring updates this time by. It's half a second that separated those two who are duking it out for the number 6 position. And what really Douglas Wyatt wants to do is stay close enough that he can possibly force a mistake out of the 68 of Simley. I think he might have done that because 68 didn't look too smooth there through corner number 2. The 5 didn't quite get that turn right. And now they go down this straightaway, and it looks like Scott Simley is able to pull some more ground before they head down into turn 4 and down this short chute here, which could be considered the back straightaway of this racetrack. And Douglas Wyatt's going to have to try to close back in. He throws it in a lot harder. You see he takes the corner a lot tighter, but then that does allow Scott Simley to get a little bit of a corner exit. But I think Douglas Wyatt's going to be able to apply enough pressure, and he may be able to pick up this spot here in not too long.
Yeah, and Scott Simley up in front of Douglas Wyatt looks mighty loose, but hey, it's difficult. I mean, you got to drive in front of you, and then you got to be careful about braking because you don't want the guy behind you to run you over. So he's having to do 2 different mirror drivings, the front mirror and the rear window. Scott Simley comes to the last corner here before picking up to complete lap 10, as we'll have 20 laps to go as Justin Wilson still continues to click them down with 9 drivers on the lead lap now, all the way back to J. Randall Watkins, who sits 9th. And, of course, Stephen Herring is the first one lap down and 10th spot in that 98 machine.
Stephen Herring has a little bit of damage.
Oh, Scott Simley nearly loses it. And how about this, folks? We're about to have a 3-car battle here at Sonoma Raceway, where the 8th place car now, Jason Williams, has started to creep his 24 Toyota up towards here. This battle as Doug sits in the middle of this battle as they go after the top 5 spot.
The 98 Herring picked up some damage lap 5 going into turn 10, caught the tire barrier, and his car is obviously damaged, and that's slowing him down. Somebody that's not being slowed down is Douglas Wyatt, who continues to close in on Scott Simley, now down through the S's on this back portion of this Sonoma Raceway. You see the 68 trying to stay out front, but it looks like the 24 of Jason Williams might get to Douglas Wyatt. You see right there in the passing zone, goes to the inside, outbreaks the 5 of Douglas Wyatt. That's exactly what you got to do in the passing zone. Move the 24 to 6th.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. Now look at Douglas Wyatt. I thought he was going to try to get back at him, but now Jason Williams secures that spot. What a pass. You named it, Evan. He had to, that's the spot to pass in, and boy, did he ever take the opportunity to do it. Now let's see if he can rim down the 68 car of Scott Simley. This is 2 Toyotas ganging up on a Ford of Scott Simley.
Yeah, the 24 of Jason Williams definitely looks fast. He sits 6th right now. He qualified in 6th, and he overdrove that corner a little bit, and he nearly went out into the sand, but he's about 2 car lengths off the back bumper, the 68 of Simley that time. And now we're going to go into another one of the great passing zones. 24 takes a look to the inside in turn 7. Can't get it done, but he has the right mentality, and he's going to keep knocking on the door until he can finally capitalize.
Wyatt spun out a little bit before that battle started to shape back up between Williams and Simley. Wyatt was able to get it corrected and back on the track, as now he'll be in hot pursuit by J. Randall Watkins, who sits 8th. He's kind of about 2 or 3 turns behind. But look at the battle here again for the 5th spot as they go by John Wilco here in the hairpin turn coming to the stripe.
And that 24 of Jason Williams, again, he's executing perfectly in those passing zones. He's not trying to force the issue and throw it in there on Scott Simley, say going up here or going down through the S's. He just takes his own line, tries to set up Simley, and then when you go into those major passing zones, turns 4, 7, and 11, going down, especially that last turn where we saw him execute that most recent pass, he's able to get there by not forcing the issue, set him up, and then execute the pass. And he overdrives that corner a lot, and Jason Williams is in the wall.
Oh, buddy.
Turn 2
Jason
bites
Williams.
to 24. Looks like he might have got a little bit loose going up through that little snake section and got over into the sand, and then going over to the right-hander. No asphalt to save him. Jumps over the curb into the tire barrier, and a great run by the 24 of Jason Williams, and we were just complimenting him on the way he was negotiating this racetrack. Is going to pick up some pretty major left side damage. Still running at a decent pace. He's currently behind a lap machine, the 62 of John Wilco, and closing in on that machine. So the 24 is not destroyed, but competitively wise, 24 is out of this race.
And just an update on the new points leader, Jose Gonzalez. He's third on the racetrack, so possibly not Jose's favorite track of all, but
he's got someone closing. Nathan Little's knocking on the door for a pass.
I was about to say, there's a HighCNC.com Chevy behind him as they go through the corner. He
Ooh,
takes
a little
him.
bit of a nudge.
I love it.
And that's one
Bump
of those
and run.
passing zones. He gives them the bump and run. And the 26 of Jose Gonzalez, not that easy to get back to him because the 26 lost a lot of time. And that 41's going to sail off into the sun here in Sonoma to P3.
I hear you. I hear you, Nathan Little. Giving the bump and run at Sonoma to Jose Gonzalez is now trying to work by the 98 back row Chevy of Stephen Herring. As they're coming up here, the hairpin turn. This is one of the passing zones that you mentioned, Dakota, as they try to filter it out the best they can coming off the corner. These guys will be completing lap 14, nearly halfway home, and the man who has not looked back since is Justin Wilson as he stretched his lead further to 16.5 seconds over Rich Jett, who sits second.
And just like at the beginning of the race, even though the tire fall off is starting to begin, he's still consistently nearly a second faster than everybody else in this field. He's got a 16-second lead than Rich Jett, and there's only been 14 laps completed. So Justin Wilson coming to take the halfway point as a battle, heating up for position number 5. Scott Simley is under attack.
Yeah, Douglas Wyatt is back there again. How about that? And just behind him is another driver for position.
And he forced an issue.
Yeah, he did. Got him buttering.
He made that 68 overdrive that corner, didn't quite capitalize because the 5 didn't have the best entry down to turn 11, but he forced them to overdrive it. Scott Simley survives for now. But Douglas Wyatt, if he was able to make that ground back up, he's going to keep knocking on the door. And again, these guys still have a little bit of lap traffic in front of them. The 62 of John Wilco will try to find a place to get out of the way. This could slow the 68 down, though. There's not a lot of room through this section.
Uh-oh, off pace or off the track there for just a second was Douglas Wyatt as he's trying to work around the 62 car. And that's going to slow him up just a little bit. J. Randall Watkins able to get by just fine, and his 77 Miller Lite Ford is now, it's a three-way battle here for the 6th spot as they line through the S's.
I was going to say J. Randall Watkins. Again, all of these guys are 1 lap down. 68 of Scott Simley is the first machine 1 lap down in position number 6. Douglas Wyatt in 7th. J. Randall Watkins in 8th are these 4 cars that we are talking about that are the closest together right now on the racetrack. So that just really tells you how fast Justin Wilson is. He's already taken lap number 17. Well, this battle that we're watching is currently working lap 15 as they go through and exit turn 11 towards the stripe.
Halfway home to Kentucky as they sing through the turns of Sonoma Raceway. Road course here, first road course of the ITSR Twisted Cup Series history. So there will be some bragging rights tonight. And Justin Wilson, so far, I'm telling you, fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, fastest in the race. And he's 18 seconds now over Rich Jett. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. Only 5 on the lead lap. Justin Wilson, but I'll tell you, if I got to put my money on anybody, it would be that 58 car.
Scott Simley in the 68 is going to lose a position. Actually, it's a lap machine that he let by. So Rich Jett on the lead lap. 68 gets out of the way for him. However, by doing so, he has allowed Ben Burnett to close in on them. Douglas Wyatt had some problems. Again, this was about a 3-4 car battle. It's now separated into two groups of two. Scott Simley under attack in the number 6 spot from Ben Burnett, who was taken the number 7 spot. About 4 car lengths separate these two guys out of turn 11. Oh, and he's nearly spun it out too, coming off of turn 11. He's able to hang on to it, but now he's going to have to make all that ground back up as Scott Simley's already up the hill into turn 1.
Looks like Ben Burnett was checking out the parking lot through there. I think it looked like a Walmart parking lot with all the yellow stripes through there. Yeah, at least he didn't park it. He did lose a lot of momentum, though, on the Scott Simley battle for 6th spot there. But as you mentioned, now 4 drivers on the lead lap, and those 4 drivers are Justin Wilson, Rich Jett, Nathan Little 3rd, and Jose Gonzalez. And Jose is about 1 minute and 3 seconds off pace of Justin. So Jose Gonzalez, folks, is very close, in dangerous position of going a lap down to put 3 drivers on the lead lap here at Sonoma.
And he has that rear end damage from when the 41 and 8th and Little gave him a little bit of assistance getting down into one of those turns to complete that pass. So that's where the little bit of rear end damage on the 26 Chevy of Jose Gonzalez comes from. But again, he is going to lose a lap if he continues the pace. He's running about 2 seconds slower than race leader Justin Wilson, who needs about 12 more seconds to put that 26-1 lap down. It wouldn't surprise me if Justin Wilson laps the field here this evening. Rich Jett sits in second, only 20 seconds back, however, from that number 1 position. So don't anticipate the 36 to fall off that much through these final few laps. As actually Rich Jett, a lead lap car, has some problems get passed by a couple of guys laps down.
Let's see here. Ben Burnett was able to get by Scott Simley about 2 turns ago. So now Ben Burnett move him up into the 5th, so let's say 6th spot here now. And as laps continue to wind down, we're past the halfway mark. We're going to take another commercial break. You're watching MW Productions, live coverage of the Sonoma Raceway in Finion. Put a cork in at 30, live on Tuesday night.
In a world where survival is the only rule and feelings have no place, where winning is everything and weakness is fatal, how much difference can one person make? That depends on the person. In every life, there is a line that cannot be crossed without leaving everything behind, except faith. Once that step is taken, there is no looking back, and all that lies ahead is destiny. There is no looking back, and all that lies ahead is destiny.
Back live here, where the laps continue to run down, and the man who has not looked back since green flag flew is the man that's still leading. Justin Wilson in that 58 car. Rich Jett second, Nathan Little third, Jose Gonzalez fourth, Jason Williams fifth, Ben Burnett sixth, Scott Simley rounding out seventh, eighth is Jay Randall Watkins, ninth Douglas Wyatt, and 10th is Stephen Herring. LD Sarabia holding on to that 11th spot. John Wilco 12th, Luis Rodriguez 13th, CJ Lavera still on pit road 14th, Brian Harvey in his 66 car, the first one off pace tonight, is 15th. 15 drivers taking the field tonight, 14 qualifying, one choosing not to. That was the 98 of Stephen Herring. So far, paying off just a little bit. He's in 11th.
And definitely, and out of those 15 cars that took the green flag, 12 of them still active on a racetrack. Luis Rodriguez is out of his car. He will finish 13th. CJ Lavera is out of his car. He will finish 14th. And Brian Harvey will finish 15th. So the back three no longer on the racetrack. John Wilco is the last car running in the number 12 spot. We have 4 cars on the lead lap. We got 5 cars 1 lap down and 3 cars 2 laps down. So 3 different categories or classes right now as we run, but Justin Wilson has been in a class of his own up at the front of the field, continuing to just hit his marks and stretching that lead that he has over the second place machine of Rich Jett to now 31.6 seconds.
You know, we haven't said or thought probably anything about pitting, Evan. I guess I'm under the impression that they didn't use the half fuel strategy here tonight at Sonoma Raceway, so it looks like these guys can go all 30 laps, green flag to green flag. No signs of anyone pitting at all under the green flag, obviously, condition here.
It doesn't appear that that's going to be a situation that's going to be presented in this race. If it was, you might see some of the guys at the tail end of the lead lap not really wait and just come down at a midway point considering where they are in the running order, but nobody's doing that, so it appears that fuel is not going to be of a concern for today's race, and we'll be able to rock and roll for these next 6 laps once Justin Wilson comes by the stripe as he works down through the S's through 10 and down into that hairpin turn 11. Next time by the start-finish line, again, it will be 6 laps remaining once he takes lap number 25.
Yeah, let's see, 25 laps, that puts us at 5 to go, so 5 fingers in the air from the flagman, this time by 6 to go. Hey, 5 fingers and plus 1 index finger from the right hand. Oh, as someone spins out in front of the leader of the 77 car. No problem.
Jay Randall Watkins says, man, my tires are shot. He just went up the hill there through 1 into 2 and lost it. You mentioned we're taking a look at Justin Wilson, and that happened right in front of him. You can't count anything out of this race. That's why Rich Jett, even though he's nearly half a lap behind, he can't give up because a lot can still happen in this race. Most likely, at this point, you can call it Justin Wilson's race to lose, but some things may just be out of your control. However, that 58 is looking pretty calm and collective up front as he continues to pull ground. Nathan Little actually closing in on Rich Jett a little bit. That would be a battle for second. There is still 10 seconds that separate those 2 drivers. However, it has closed in significantly since the last time we really took a look at those 2 times.
Man, I tell you, Justin Wilson having to fumble through the field here a little bit, as now he's got Jose Gonzalez to deal with in front of him, about half of a turn away as they go through 1 here. Coming up on 1 is Jose Gonzalez, also coming up on some traffic. In front of him is Stephen Herring as he gives wayside to that.
Laps continuing to wind down. Justin Wilson, race leader, closing in on the last car on the lead lap, the number 26 of Jose Gonzalez, just about 3 seconds up the racetrack, and will most likely lose his lap here in not too long, which would leave 3 cars remaining on the lead lap. The gap is continuing to close in for the number 2 position, down to 6 seconds, separating Rich Jett from Nathan Little. So Nathan Little has an opportunity to close in and pass Rich Jett here in those closing laps. He can now see him up in front of him on a racetrack, just barely, but he gets a glimpse of him when he comes off a corner. So if Nathan Little can keep the pace that he is going, he has a shot to pick up that number 2 position. Again, he qualified in second, dropped back a little bit, and is now trying to work his way through this field late in the going.
Well, looks like Justin Wilson has this cat in the bag, so to speak, but as you and me both know, anything can happen. He could slip off through the sand here and climb the hill, go airborne, and land on his roof and spin out and hit the wall. But hey, I've seen stranger things happen, right?
And again, technically, it's grass, in theory. But it acts like sand. There's nothing to hang on to there. It's almost like a sand trap out here in California. Really not the greenest grass alongside this racetrack. So pretty much just call it sand. That's what it looks like. That's what it feels like when a driver goes through there. Justin Wilson, he's keeping himself busy by having to continuously navigate lap traffic. Next car he's going to come up on is the number 68 of Scott Simley, who sits in the 6th spot, 1 lap down already. And Justin Wilson will be looking to put him an additional lap down as he has a huge run on Simley down into turn 11. And Simley's going to yield wide and allow Justin Wilson to get all of that room he needs. And Wilson's going to come up off of turn 11, gets a little bit sideways, has to get back up through the gears, comes off of 12 this time by the stripe, lap 28, and 3 laps to go.
Hey, that's not sideways, that's slideways. And we've seen a lot of that tonight. And of course, we may see a little bit more. Oh, it's Justin Wilson. Nearly loses it coming off the corner in front of Scott Simley. Wilson really hammering out right here. Doesn't necessarily have to, but he's not letting up. It looks like he's still trying to click these fast lap times off. As you said, we got 3 fingers in the air. Dale Earnhardt Sr. salute.
And at 58 knows that he has that gap. Again, Rich Jett just crossed the start-finish line, 38 seconds behind him. Justin Wilson, he's going down through the S's to hit 10 and then going to that hairpin turn 11. So a half a lap is the distance between the two. So he knows the gap that he's working with, and these tires really don't have a lot left in them. That's why you see a lot of guys slipping and sliding here in these closing stages. Wilson now enters turn 11, the passing zone, nobody to pass and no fear of being passed. And this time by, it will be 2 laps remaining in this race.
2 fingers in the air, a somewhat distant retirement of Rusty Wallace number salute here now. Guess what's next? Steve Park. Old enough to remember Steve Park, Evan?
Yes. And the battle for second is heating up, but I don't know if Nathan Little's going to have enough time. I think he may, because they're only on lap 28. So these two guys, second and third, separated by 4 seconds last time by. They're just now coming to take 2 laps to go, as Justin Wilson, again, is already navigating himself towards that back set of S's on this racetrack. It looks like Little did not get off of turn 11 good at all. And once the scoring is going to update through, it's actually only 2 seconds. So he picked up 2 seconds. That lap could have been more, but it looked like a little bit of a sloppy exit off of 11. But I think Nathan Little is going to have a very serious shot here at picking up that number 2 spot as we close in on the white flag as Justin Wilson heads down for turn 11.
Heading down to get that white flag, the white silk.
Oh, we got trouble down in one turn. One car around in front of the field, right in front of our leaders. John Wilco spun right into that back section there where you go down into the hard braking zone, turn 4, down that short chute, was sideways right in the middle of the curbing, and Justin Wilson had to check up to be able to avoid that. No harm, no foul. He has the time to be able to negotiate that, and he is now on the white flag lap. Nathan Little trying to close in on Rich Jett, who they have now been separated by a lap machine, the 77 in that affair. J. Randall Watkins in between the two. So Nathan Little looks like he may be running out of time to complete that pass after that exchange with that spinning lap car seems to have maybe shot his chances at that number 2 spot.
Oh, Justin Wilson, leader, through the grass. Gonna be able to hold on here, Evan.
And there's nothing left in those tires.
No, there's not. You can just tell he's struggling here. He's just take it easy, Justin. If you can hear me, take it easy. He's 40 seconds up on Rich Jett, but man, just look at, he's still powering it. I love the enthusiasm by the kid of Justin Wilson.
He's trying to survive, and now down to the final section of turns, Justin Wilson. You can imagine the tire wear, considering how fast that 58 machine has been moving tonight. Through 11 and through turn 12, the winner of the Put a Cork in It 30 at Sonoma Raceway, going to go to a dominant Justin Wilson.
Awesome job. Justin Wilson wins your first series history track of road course racing, Sonoma Raceway. Justin Wilson picks up the victory tonight. Rich Jett in a strong second. Nathan Little going to finish third. And how about that? The top 3 drivers, the top 3 interviewers tonight.
Little's going to throw it in.
Will all finish in the top 3.
36 of Rich Jett in second spot is able to, the 41 and Nathan Little tried in the final corner, unable to do so, and now the second and third place drivers will cross the stripe. Rich Jett does remain in second. I think Nathan Little would have got it, but again, we had a spinning 62 of John Wilco in the middle of the track coming out of turn 4. That hindered his ability, but top 3, Wilson, Rich Jett, and Nathan Little. Justin Wilson, dominant, nobody even in his ballpark here this evening. Fastest in practice, qualified P1, and put on a clinic in that 30-lap race.
He sure did. A clinic, in fact, and in just a few moments we'll have the opportunity to talk to the top 3 drivers when we return after our quick commercial break on MW Productions. You're watching ITR Twisted Cup Series live coverage here at Sonoma Raceway. And welcome back live, where we just wrapped up the first road course in ITSR Twisted Cup Series history. And in dominating fashion, Justin M. Wilson, the man driving the 58 car tonight, gets it done. But first, Evan Pasoko has caught up with both your third-place driver and second-place driver here at Sonoma.
And first, we're down here with Nathan Little, who has to settle for a third-place finish. Nathan, I know you were closing in quick there on Rich Jet in the number 2 spot, but a little bit of confrontation with a little bit of lap cars that kind of hindered your progress, and you came up just a little bit short. Walk us through that incident and then those closing laps trying to chase down the 36.
Honestly, I thought everyone was going to pit, so I kind of short pitted there to try to get a little bit of advantage, but I wasn't going to beat Justin either way. But I had lap traffic. We was all sliding around. That wasn't no big deal. That was just a bad mistake on my part. Good run there, Justin and Rich.
Entering this race, everybody was very spread out in a practice session. 15 seconds separated everybody. You were the driver that was in Justin Wilson's ballpark. Came up 2 seconds short in qualifying, not the run that you were looking for, but you had a fast time in practice. What kind of preparations do you take, typically driving on the ovals here and then heading into a road course? How do you prepare for this race, and what mentality did you have to bring into this 30-lap affair, knowing what the competition was going to be like?
Lots of practice, playing around with steering ratios, stuff like that, and really just keep it on the pavement, and you should be able to do pretty good if you figure out the line and get the power down. That's about it.
I definitely will. Many drivers just want to be able to escape tonight, and you do so successfully. Obviously, I'm sure you would have liked to get one more spot, but your car was in pretty fair condition compared to some of the other guys. What parts of the racetrack did you find that maybe you were faster than some other guys? What parts did you think you were really strong in?
I thought I was particularly fast up on the hill there in the slow portion, but turn 11 really killed me all night. I was pretty good in the extra too, but turn 11 really played hard on me there.
And definitely in 1 week's time we get back to the ovals, Kentucky Speedway. How confident are you going into that race?
I like my hometown track. I'm from Kentucky. I'm a old Kentucky hillbilly, so we'll see what we can do with a no bumpy track here in Kentucky.
10-4 to that one. Sponsors and shout-outs, whoever you want to thank, the mic's all yours.
I got 2 buddies here with me, not 2 crew chiefs with me. They, I guess they pitted me a little too early, but, you know, I'll deal with it. But, have the Haas automation on the car there, sporting the Outlaw. So, get them next week, guys. Thank y'all for the broadcast.
Definitely. Well, congrats on the top 3 finish, and we look forward to seeing what you and the 41 team can do next week. We now step alongside to our second place finisher, Rich Jet, who was able to hold off that charging Nathan Little in those closing laps. Rich, you're able to walk away with a second place finish, qualified in third, so you had to have some sort of confidence entering this evening's race. What were you expecting before this green flag flew?
Lots of slipping and sliding, and I didn't actually see that in the beginning of the race, but as I came up on some lap traffic, it got really bad. About 20 laps in.
And definitely, and gauging your car, you were 4th in a practice session, 3rd in qualifying, 2nd in the race. So a steady improvement. And I asked the same question to Nathan. How do you make the transition going from an oval to a road course? What were kind of the key things that you had to focus on, really getting a rhythm going on it? What are the main things that you had to practice to be able to be competitive in this race?
Just, you know, you hit your marks. Try to hit the same thing exactly right to the exact same lap, but that rarely worked out because I was kind of figuring out the line as I went. It just seemed like the car wouldn't really to my liking at all night.
Definitely a very slick racetrack indeed. Well, again, next week we get back to everybody's forte per se, and we go to Kentucky Speedway for that race, 100 laps in that affair. How confident are you going into that race, considering your situation at all in the championship standings, entering tonight just behind, actually coming off a second place finish also last week, so 2 back-to-back second place finishes. How confident are you that maybe you can pick up that one more spot and get the victory lane here not too long?
Kentucky, I don't think I'll be very good there. Maybe a top or late top 10 there, but you never know. I don't know what to expect really with this new tire, how it's going to run there, and how everyone's going to be running. Might just be right up my alley, but I don't know. We'll see when we come to that next week.
And definitely, and that's going to do it down here. Actually, no, Rich, before we let you go, sponsors and shout-outs, who makes it happen for you and the 36 crew?
I'd like to thank the league, ITSR here, and all you guys and the Back Row Motorsports gang, Nathan Little, Wilco, Herring, and Watkins, all them guys keeping everybody cheer and keeping everybody on the track tonight.
And definitely, that is Rich Jet comes home, and second is going to be looking forward to what could happen next week when we go racing at Kentucky Motor Speedway. Now on to victory lane, and caught up with our race winner is Michael Keaton.
Absolutely. Justin Wilson getting the checkered silk tonight, 30 laps. It was to put a cork in it, and Justin, you did everything but, well, you threw out the kitchen sink tonight, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It was fun. Got quite a bit of practice in this week at the track, but I mean, even still, this tires fell off so bad. All we were doing is sliding everywhere, and it took everything I could just to keep it on the track.
Yeah, we noticed that towards the end, sliding. You were all over the track. I was sitting there thinking, Justin, just calm down. You got like a 40-second lead over second spot, but the way that you were just, powerhousing through the corner there, even in the final few laps and turns, sideways and sideways, it just made it look even more better. I mean, interesting that the fact that you went out there, you dominated the night, and you were willing to keep pushing the limit, to keep going through the corners, coming out of the corners, sliding here at Sonoma Raceway. And congratulations, history tonight, the first ever road course winner in the ITSR Twisted Cup Series. So again, congratulations on your win tonight and picking up that first W in the second season.
Yeah, the only person I got to thank is CJ for letting me come join. He invited me to come run for him, so really this one was for him. I told him I'd come here and do the best I got. It was Sonoma, so if anything can happen. It's kind of cool to win the first road course race. I mean, I didn't know that this was their first one, so it was an achievement all in itself.
Absolutely, and of course, next week, greener grass on the other side, as some say, Kentucky Speedway. Your thoughts on that track?
It's a pretty good track. I tend to do very well there. It's a pretty fun track. There's kind of 2 lanes, so it kind of makes it a little interesting. So we'll definitely see.
All right, and there you have it, folks. Justin Wilson winning Sonoma Raceway, the Put a Cork In It 30 here tonight. Think outside the oval. Of course, next week we'll see you at the oval track, the greener grass, where the Kentucky Derby is often ran. Kentucky, 100 laps set for next Tuesday night. We'll see you. For me, Michael Keaton, Evan Pasoko, and of course Michael Woolley in the broadcast studios next Tuesday night.
Damn, girl, you're so wicked sexy. I'm a motherfucker gentleman. I'm a motherfucker gentleman. I'm a motherfucker gentleman. I like a mullah.